the Chi-Town experience on the flight. Let me go tune in to Keek on the mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the like.
No more talking, no more discussions, no more debate. The Chicago Bears know exactly what they need to do and who they need to hire as the next Chicago Bears head coach. Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. So, Bears fans, we have a couple of different things that I want to discuss on today's episode of Keek on the Mic. First and foremost, as we all know, the Chicago Bears dropped yet another game to the Detroit Lions by a score of 34-17 to drop to 4-11 on the season. We all know what's going to happen. The Bears are not going to win another game. They'll end the season at 4-13. They will have a top 10 pick in the upcoming NFL draft, and we'll start the process all over again, trying to win the offseason. But at this point, the Bears just need to handle their business, try to fix the problems that they have, try to get out of their own way, hire the right coach, find some players that can make this football team better, and that's that. The one thing I can say that the Chicago Bears finally have is a quarterback, a franchise quarterback in Caleb Williams. He was the rose yesterday for the Chicago Bears, and yet another devastating loss. I don't really want to call it devastating. We all knew that we were going to lose to the Detroit Lions, but he played really well. 332 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He was really, really good yesterday. But what I'm confused about is there's still some Bears fans and some analysts and maybe some fans from the outside looking in still saying that Caleb Williams is a bust. And I understand that the Bears had high expectations. I understand that Caleb Williams had high expectations as well. He's the number 1 overall pick. A lot of people were calling him a generational talent coming out of USC. So I understand that there was expectations. I understand that the Bears really didn't meet those expectations. They're 4-11 currently. I mean, when you look at the other rookie quarterbacks like Jaden Daniels with the Washington Commanders, and they're now up to 10 wins. You have the Denver Broncos. They may make the NFL playoffs as well. So I can understand when you look at that. A lot of people look at Caleb Williams' season as a failure, but I'm trying to wrap my mind around it, and it really doesn't make any sense to me. When you look at Caleb Williams this season, he has exceeded all the expectations for the common sense Bears fans. If you really enjoy watching football, if you really understand the National Football League, you will understand what Caleb Williams is currently doing in the current state of the Chicago Bears, talking about multiple offensive coordinators, multiple head coaches, a organization that is just dysfunctional as a whole. You will sit here and realize that Caleb Williams is actually exceeding expectations and is proving that he is finally the Chicago Bears franchise quarterback. First and foremost, Caleb Williams is the first Bears rookie quarterback to eclipse 3,000 passing yards in a season, currently sitting at 3,271 passing yards with 19 passing touchdowns and only 5 interceptions. He also has had his up and downs, but he also has had 4 300-plus yard passing games. He's currently 5th all-time or 6th all-time in Bears history in passing yards. Once again, this is with multiple head coaches, multiple offensive coordinators, all the mess going on with the Chicago Bears right now. Caleb Williams is exceeding expectations. So if you are seriously sitting here and calling Caleb Williams a bust, just shut the hell up. You have no idea what you're talking about. You are just at that point trolling. You don't understand the National Football League. He is exceeding expectations. He's had a great rookie season, and there's still 2 games left to play. So Caleb Williams will probably pile on the yards the last couple of weeks, and he will end with a pretty good stat line. And for me as a Bears fan, I will be confident going into next season, knowing that the Chicago Bears finally got that pick right, talking about finally picking the correct franchise quarterback in Caleb Williams. And once again, that's not me dissing the fact that Jaden Daniels has balled out or that Bo Nix has balled out. I'm just saying that in the current state that Caleb Williams is in with this dysfunctional Chicago Bears organization, he is exceeding expectation, and I am super excited for the future of Caleb Williams. With that being said, The Bears have a whole lot of work to do. Rather it's Ryan Poles as the general manager, or if Kevin Warren, the Bears organization, decide to fire Ryan Poles and go find someone else. They have a lot of work to do to continue to build around Caleb Williams. You have that number, the most important piece in the organization, and that's the quarterback position, right, with Caleb Williams. Now we need to build the offensive line. We need to build a defensive line. And just most importantly, we need to find the right head coach. But the talk is over. I know we've been talking for a long time on who should be the next Chicago Bears head coach. To me, there is no more debate. There is no more discussion. The Chicago Bears need to open up their checkbook and give Ben Johnson whatever he wants to become the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. Yesterday was kind of intriguing to me. Even though we lost 34-17, it seemed like it was almost an audition for Ben Johnson. Once again, there's been a lot of Bears fans out there saying, hey, I don't want Ben Johnson for this reason, or I don't want Ben Johnson for this reason. It's almost like Ben Johnson heard you guys talking mess about him, and he came out there and absolutely put on a clinic as the OC for the Detroit Lions. Once again, let's go ahead and break down some numbers from yesterday's clinic of play calling from offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. First and foremost, they had 475 total yards. And once again, I understand the Bears defense has been kind of struggling as of late, but that is still a very impressive performance. 475 total yards, 329 passing, 146 rushing yards, and that was without David Montgomery in the lineup. All he had is Jahmyr Gibbs and a couple of other backup running backs on the roster. That was without David Montgomery. They obviously put up 34 points on the Chicago Bears. They had 31 minutes and 29 seconds of time of possession. It was an absolute clinic from offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. What I loved about that is that he put on audition not only for Ryan Bowles, Kevin Warren, the McCaskey family, the whole Chicago Bears organization, and the Bears fans that could be doubting Ben Johnson as a head coaching candidate for the Chicago Bears. But here's the interesting part, is I really feel that Ben Johnson really sent a message yesterday to the Chicago Bears organization with one play call. Obviously, you guys most likely saw if you guys were watching the duration of the game, but there was a play call where Jared Goff was going back to hand the ball off to Jahmyr Gibbs. He acts like he fumbled the ball and then stumbles a little bit, and Jahmyr Gibbs falls, acts like he's going to recover the ball, and then he gathers his footing and he throws to a wide open Sam Laporta. In the initial, while the play was going on, even when I was doing my live stream, I was like, okay, it's actually a fumble. Go get the ball. That was by design, Bears fans. That was a design play call. People were even saying that everyone on the Detroit Lions sideline was screaming, fumble, 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 to make the Bears pause and make it seem like the play was over and dead, that there was going to just be an easy sack. No, that was by design, and it's plays like that that gets me excited about Ben Johnson as the possibility of him becoming the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. You talk about the creativity, you talk about the design, you talk about what he's been able to do with Jared Goff. Let's not fool ourselves. When the Detroit Lions traded Matthew Stafford to the Los Angeles Rams and they brought Jared Goff over here to Detroit, a lot of people were thinking that Jared Goff's career was over, that he was either going to be benched or cut by the Detroit Lions. No. Ben Johnson took him in, Dan Campbell took him in, and they made his career into something. And that is thanks to Ben Johnson. Once again, I want to address some other concerns about the Bears fans that for some reason, after yesterday's showing or after the last 3 years, Ben Johnson's been great for the Detroit Lions. The Bears fans or anyone that's kind of out on Ben Johnson still. And most of the time what I hear about Ben Johnson or people that are out on Ben Johnson saying, well, he could be another Matt Nagy. Let me stop you there. With Matt Nagy, you have to understand, before the Chicago Bears hired Matt Nagy wasn't truly the offensive coordinator. Everyone knows, that has common sense, that Andy Reid is actually the one that calls plays over there in Kansas City. If you really think about it, before Matt Nagy was hired as Chicago Bears head coach a couple of years ago, Matt Nagy really only called a handful of games. And those handful of games was not really good for Matt Nagy. There was even stories about when Matt Nagy got hired, he was talking about in one of his first press conferences how when he called one of the playoff games and it didn't go well, his sons actually called him out for having a pretty bad game in terms of calling plays. When you look at Ben Johnson, he is the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. He has been the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions for the last 3 years. And that is a huge sample size because the Detroit Lions, ever since he's taken over play calling duties for that organization, they have been excellent. Once again, you look at the creativity, you look at the designs, you look at how everyone kind of respects him, and you could just feel the leadership that he instills on that offense. You look at what Jared Goff has been able to accomplish. A lot of people are still even calling Jared Goff an MVP candidate as soon as this year. That is all thanks to Ben Johnson. For the people that are out there saying, hey, well, I'm a little nervous about Ben Johnson because he's a first-time head coach. And I totally understand that. We don't know what he's going to be. We can hire this guy and maybe he does fall flat on his face. But let's not forget that Kevin O'Connell, Minnesota Vikings head coach, was a first-time head coach for the Minnesota Vikings. In 3 seasons, 2 of those seasons, he's had 13-plus wins. Kyle Shanahan was a first-time head coach for the San Francisco 49ers. Look at what he's been able to accomplish. Yes, has he won the big game? No, but there's been a lot of success in that organization due to the fact of how good of a coach Kyle Shanahan actually is. So let's not be scared about Ben Johnson being a first-time head coach for the Chicago Bears. That is the risk that you take when you hire some of these really good coordinators like Ben Johnson. It either works or it doesn't work. But here is the difference. It's not about Ben Johnson being a first-time head coach. It's all about the Chicago Bears doing things the right way and getting out of their own way. It's up to Kevin Warren, Ryan Poles to finally build a good roster, meaning building the trenches on the offensive line and defensive line. That's what the Minnesota Vikings did. That's what the San Francisco 49ers did. And that's why Kevin O'Connell and Kyle Shanahan were able to go into the respective organizations and have success early on is because those organizations had it figured out. They built through the trenches and then they built the skill players around them. And then that's why Kevin O'Connell and Kyle Shanahan were able to thrive in those organizations. So Chicago Bears, let's not overcomplicate this. You have a 38-year-old head coach, one of the best, not if the best, offensive coordinators in the NFL. One of the brightest minds in the NFL, and Ben Johnson. Let's not overcomplicate this. Go get your head coach and Ben Johnson. Give him whatever he wants. Then go build the trenches. Go build the offensive line. Go build the defensive line. You have your quarterback in Caleb Williams. You have some stud pieces around him in Cole Kmet, DJ Moore, and Rome Odunze. You can even decide to bring back Keenan Allen if you want to. But the first step for your organization to finally be taken seriously is to get your young offensive-minded head coach and Ben Johnson. I personally feel that this is going to be different than Matt Nagy. I truly do, because he has more experience actually calling plays at the NFL level at a high level, right? And I understand the Detroit Lions have a strong offensive line. I understand that. But the Chicago Bears, GM Ryan Poles, Kevin Warren, the Bears organization can do the exact same thing. They have to just get out of their own way. And I understand there's not a lot of confidence in Ryan Poles right now, but they do have a lot of resources, $80+ million in cap space, some top draft choices in the upcoming NFL draft to really overhaul not only the offensive line, but the defensive line as well. But it starts out with getting the head coaching hire right. And after yesterday's game and after what I've been seeing from Ben Johnson over the last couple of years, my choice is made up. To me, there's no more debate. There's no more questions. It has to be Ben Johnson or bust for the Chicago Bears. And the thing that makes this all so beautiful is that before yesterday's game, Tom Pelissero of NFL Network did go on and say, hey, Ben Johnson is intrigued by the Chicago Bears head coaching opening. He is willing to listen. So at this point, it seems like Ben Johnson wants the Chicago Bears. It seems like the Chicago Bears may want Ben Johnson unless they are dumb. And to me, it would be a beautiful pairing between Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson. So for me, it's Ben Johnson or bust, and Johnson should be the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. So Bears fans, let me know down below in the comment section how you're feeling about the state of the Chicago Bears right now. And if you are on the same track as me, do you think it should be Ben Johnson or bust for the Chicago Bears? And once again, I think they should still go through their due diligence and do multiple interviews. But at the end of the day, it should be Ben Johnson for the Chicago Bears. Let me know if you agree with me and my takes on today's episode of Kick on the Mic down below in the comment section. But as always, make sure you guys continue to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Geek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But other than that, be back for an all-new Bears podcast right here on Geek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and as always, bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic. You can go and subscribe, cause I be on it right. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic.